The Kansas City Chiefs play offense, that for sure. They picked up right where they left off in week one with a 40-point performance against the Jags. But Tyreek Hill went down with an injury early, expected to miss 4 to 6 weeks. Without him, at least in that game, the offense didn't miss a beat. So let's talk about why the Chiefs are so hard to stop and how NFL defenses can go about trying to stop them. Dominique, show us.
Well, I'll tell you from a defensive perspective, it's terrifying to go up against the Chiefs. But when you play zone, you're not going to win. You're going to have to go man at some point. This is an example of one of the best defenses in the league trying to play cover 4 against the Chiefs. You look right here, we have Tyreek Hill, one of the fastest guys in the history of the world. We have Quincy Williams, a linebacker who ran a 4.56 at the combine. Okay. And he is responsible for the curl to flat situation. Then you get Tyreek Hill out here in the flat. That speed is terrifying. I don't know about you, Greeny, but that might be the scariest thing. What scares you? What are you afraid of, Greeny?
Right, I'm afraid of you right now. Go ahead.
Running out of mayonnaise?
Yeah.
Does that terrify you?
Yeah.
So that he's out there in the flat, and that widens the defense. And then we set it up for a high-low on the other linebacker, Miles Jack, and you get the ball to a guy like this, a playmaker. Now, that's just bad tackling at this point. There's nothing that you can do defensively other than practice tackling from there. So we'll see the high-low at a better angle after this play is up.
Right.
Patrick Mahomes having a great time, as he always does. And here's an example of the high-low. So because you see the sticks right here, it's third and short. So Miles Jack squeezes up close to stop that. And then you have a guy wide open in the back. And essentially, when you're playing zone, what you're doing is challenging the quarterback to be able to execute. As defenders, that's what we think. We play man, we're challenging ourselves to execute. We play zone, we're challenging the quarterback to execute. And one thing you don't want to do to Patrick Mahomes is challenge him to execute, because he will. And again, get right here. Look at this. Look at this. You got 4 guys. One of them may be the best corner in the league. Plenty of great players. Bouye back there in the back. And none of them can take down Sammy Watkins. That's just bad. I don't know what you can say about that other than that being bad. So the way that you do beat this team is you have to play man. And again, that could get you in trouble because the talent that they have is so impressive that it's going to hurt them. Again, Patrick Mahomes having a great time. So now we're in man coverage, and you have a matchup that you think you might like. You have a corner, a very good corner, and Bouye down here against Travis Kelce, who's a pass-catching tight end. So your man coverage, you have to get pressure at this point, and Bouye loses off the front. And Travis Kelce gets the inside leverage and beats him there. If you can't win a matchup where you have one of your best corners in the league, second best on your team, match up against a tight end, you're not going to be able to stop the Chiefs.
Well, the problem is he's not just any tight end, right? He's as good a pass-catching tight end as we have in the league, just about.
I mean, he is. He's the best pass-catching tight end in the league, but he's a tight end. And you're a cornerback. As a cornerback, you have to win that matchup every time.
Bottom line, in order to beat the Chiefs, you're going to have to outscore them at some point, right? At the end of the day, no one is going to beat the Chiefs by holding them to 17 points. Not regularly. You're not making your living doing that.
You have to win up front. This is a situation where you are most likely going to lose in one of those matchups because they have so many playmakers, and Patrick Mahomes will pick your zone apart. So you're going to have to win with pressure with your D-line.
They play the Raiders this week, and Shefty just told you the Raiders will be without their first-round pick, Jonathan Elam, in their backfield. All right, let me get to college here. This is an interesting story. The NCAA has sent a letter to the governor of California asking him not to sign a bill that would give college athletes a chance to accept endorsement money while they're in school. In the letter, the NCAA calls the Fair Pay to Play Act harmful and unconstitutional, adding that it would, quote, upend the balance of national competition in college sports. Let me put that in English. The California legislature passed a bill that will allow, and unanimously, that would allow college athletes to benefit from their likeness, endorsements, and things like that, not to be paid by their universities. The governor has to sign it. The NCAA is essentially saying to the governor, don't sign it, because if you do, it's going to keep the California schools from being able to compete in our championships. That's essentially what we're saying. Dominique, quick thought.
I mean, it doesn't make a difference, honestly. I hate to be the one to throw cold water on this, but let's be honest. Most of the guys out there are not marketable enough to make any money off of this. And frankly, the universities and NCAA are the ones that are benefiting from their labor, so they should be the ones that are paying them. So when it comes down to it, I think about it like you do a movie. Not many of those guys are stars in the movie, but they're all extras. And you can't have a movie without extras. So they deserve to be paid by the people that are putting the entertainment product out. They don't deserve to have the opportunity to go out and find some other ancillary way to get compensated for their labor.
I totally and utterly disagree with the fact that they couldn't get paid. I mean, there are several athletes, especially at the big name programs, Greeny, that could go out there, sell jerseys, sell different types of memorabilia, and get money. But furthermore, I agree with your second point. At this point, if you were still watching college athletes play on Saturday and you were opposed to them being paid, you're complicit with modern-day indentured servitude. Let's just call a spade, because a scholarship isn't legal tender to buy anything. It's a proprietary currency that can only be used at the quote-unquote company store. Imagine if anybody working a real job was being paid in money that could only be used on that campus. Completely and utterly ridiculous.
I think it's just like finally there's a little bit of sun of ray and a whole cloud of darkness when it comes to paying players. And I think that they can benefit off their likeness. The highest earning potential for most collegiate or athletes in general, I think, is in college. I think if you went to the University of Georgia or Oregon right now and you gave them the ability to set up a camp on their own or sign their own memorabilia and sell it, they're going to make money. And at the end of the day, 2% of them are going to get drafted in the NFL. So allow them to make money now, and this is the beginning.
Yeah, Dominique, I don't agree with your take. They could open up an auto dealership on a Saturday afternoon, come down and meet the USC offensive line. People would get paid something for that. And I will say that while I think that the idea of the schools paying the players themselves is an interesting one, and it's a conversation I would love to have, it is separate from this.
Yeah.
You don't have to necessarily not do one because you're not doing the other.
I'm certainly in favor of this happening. I like it, but I don't want us to fall into some false sense of security that this is a situation that is going to actually make some long-lasting benefit for the players. I want the governor to sign the bill, and I hope many players do get paid, but I'm not under the illusion that they can open up a car dealership every week, and that's going to make money for all 100 guys.
Ask a question for those of you who cover the sport. Let's just live in a world where it does get signed. Now what happens? The NCAA is basically talking tough. Oh, we're not going to play. You're not going to be able to compete in championships. I don't know how realistic that is. What happens if the governor signs the bill?
He signs the bill, and everybody else in college has to budge eventually. NCAA's talking big. They're barking like the big bad wolf. Only Greeny because they want to be the one to dictate how it goes down.
Greeny, if this was Iowa signing a bill, it might not have an effect on college football. But this is USC, Stanford, UCLA. Are you kidding me? We're just going to leave all of them out, and now half the Pac-12 can't play in college football
Here is
anymore.
the one thing to play devil's advocate, because I've talked to a lot of ADs. At the point in which you allow college athletes to be paid for working a camp, now you got to fear the booster who's going to come in and, really fund this camp legally.
Bring it in.
You celebrate it.
Right. Bring it in. Let's secure the bag.
And anyone who's listened to me for years, you know how I feel. These rules are antiquated. They were set up to solve problems that no longer exist. In my opinion, they need to restart the entire process from scratch. Quickly, let me take you through running the bases here because baseball's American League wildcard race is very tight. The Indians finished off a sweep of the Angels with a 4-3 win in Anaheim last night. Francisco Lindor, Carlos Santana both hitting home runs. Santana's was his 34th of the season. That matches a career high. Elsewhere, the much-anticipated debut last night for top pitching prospect Jesus Luzardo struck out 2 over 3 innings out of the bullpen in the A's 5-3 win in Houston. Luzardo is Oakland's top-rated prospect, widely considered one of the top pitching prospects in the whole sport, had missed the entire season working his way back from multiple injuries. Elsewhere, the Rays' 6-game winning streak came to an end in Texas last night, falling 10-9 to the Rangers. Tampa battled back to tie after giving up 7 runs in the first, but Rougned Odor had a 3-run home run in the 7th. That put Texas ahead for good. So, where do we stand as of now? The American League wild card as tight as you can get. Just 1 game separates the Indians at 3rd to the Rays at 1st. The A's may have the inside track in the race, however, because after tonight's matchup with Houston, they will have 0 games remaining against winning opponents. All right, as we continue in our next hour, if you thought this huge opener against the Dolphins answered the questions about Lamar Jackson, think again. We'll pose some more and answer them too. For you, right here, Get Up on ESPN.